What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back here to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. My name is Hunter on this Monday, October the 20th, 2025. We have a lot to talk about in today's weather forecast, including two large storm systems that could bring severe weather with damaging winds, large hail and tornadoes to the United States, along with some heavy rainfall, and a tropical system we are watching as well. We'll look at your tropical update at the end. Here's that tropical system has a 90% chance of developing in the Caribbean over the next few days. We're going to highlight this towards the end of the video, so stick around for that as well. Otherwise, kick back and make sure to like the video, give it a thumbs up. Almost got to 1,000 likes again yesterday. Would love to hit that as we go into today or more. And also share this video with a friend, family member, and on social media. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel. We cover Canada, the United States, and the tropics on all of my videos. We'll cover it here as well. So without further ado, let's get into the forecast. For this week, we are seeing some cooler air in the blue that's below normal temperatures for that 5-day period between today and Friday, October 24th across the eastern U.S. A little bit of a rebound or a bump up in our temperatures across the middle of the country. We'll call it the Plains and then the Rockies. We're going to start to see that. And then across the immediate West Coast, near normal with our temperatures when you average it out during this 5-day work week. Now, looking at the temperatures this afternoon, it is pretty chilly up here with a secondary reinforcing shot of cold air. Another cold front coming through across the northern plains. Behind it, temperatures are in the 40s and 50s. Ahead of it, still chilly with the wind, but we could be seeing those 70s creeping up into Illinois, including portions of central Illinois. And then the heat will be on again in Texas and near the Red River Valley, southern Florida. We're going to be into the upper 80s to mid 90s, including a record high possible near the Rio Grande Valley down here at 97 this afternoon. Going into tomorrow, the coldest day of the season is promised for areas into the upper Midwest, including the Twin Cities region of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, La Crosse, Duluth, all the way over to Green Bay, barely getting to 50 degrees, in some areas likely even staying in the mid 40s for highs. As we go into tomorrow afternoon, and we're starting to cool off in Texas, for example, Dallas in the upper 70s, mid 70s in Little Rock, mid 70s from Memphis there eastward into Middle Tennessee and Nashville as we go into Tuesday. Going into Wednesday, notice the cooler air starts to push a little bit further to the east, still seeing the 40s and 50s out there in and around the Great Lakes region. Thursday and Friday, same deal. And again, we're going to remain cool throughout the week and heading into the upcoming weekend, maybe a little bit of a bump up in our numbers into the 60s for areas in the upper Midwest as we go into Saturday, Sunday on the 25th and 26th of October this weekend. Low temperatures, we got to watch out for frost freeze risks here, especially across the plains, Northwest Plains here. Black Hills region of the Dakotas, Panhandle in Nebraska going into tomorrow morning, watching out for a frost freeze risk there. And then especially Wednesday morning, creeping into the northern plains here, again into the Dakotas, into the upper Midwest like Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin for that frost freeze risk Wednesday morning. Thursday morning and Friday morning look to be the coldest two mornings there across the Great Lakes region, Midwest, and Ohio Valley. So if you have sensitive vegetation, any plants out there that want to be covered up, to protect them from any damage from frost freezes, that is a good thing to do, especially, again, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, and Friday morning here. And by the time we get to the weekend, those overnight lows should be warming up enough to where the colder weather won't be damaging any of your plants or crops out there. Precipitation this week looks to be a little bit above average across southeastern Canada, Ontario, and Quebec. Trailing down here to the northeast, got another storm system in the southern plains starting to develop mid-late week, and then a even larger storm coming in across the Pacific Northwest. This one's going to be a major player as we get closer to Halloween. We'll show you that here in momentarily. Thunderstorm potential over the next 3 days. Not really looking at a lot of thunderstorm activity today. More isolated here. Some across the plains. Some across here the deep south in Florida or the northeast. And then as we go into tomorrow, again, watching near the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, and then near the Gulf Coast, including southern Florida for a few thunderstorms that are non-severe. And then going into Wednesday, desert Southwest, southern Florida again, the northeast. That's where we're looking at general garden variety storms. No severe weather expected today, tomorrow, or on Wednesday. So that is some good news. Now let's look here at the east like we always do. We'll go to the central view and then the western view after that. Looking at some rain shower activity with the cold front moving through the Boston region and Cape Cod all the way up there in towards New Hampshire and Vermont, western Maine as we go through midday, clearing to the west. So we're going to clear our skies as we're getting into the evening hours slowly but surely. By the time we get towards midnight at Boston, we're going to be seeing mostly clear skies. A little bit of rain activity into the upstate New York region and northern Vermont and New Hampshire, some of up there into Maine as well, and then we'll see clearer skies overnight for the mid-Atlantic and the southeast. Another cold front coming through as we go into tomorrow. That could bring a reinforcing shot of cooler air, along with an increase in cloud cover, so we'll call it a partly to mostly cloudy sky tomorrow. Once that comes in, some drizzle, some showers, even some thunderstorms as vorticity of the spin underneath this upper level low across the Great Lakes is going to be increasing, and that could increase our thunderstorm risk across the Great Lakes tomorrow and into Wednesday. And just keep in mind, severe weather is not expected just because it's so cool, but there could definitely be some maybe very small pellets of hail, like pea-sized hail, some gustier winds with these storms, but I'm not expecting any wind damage per se. Now in the central United States this afternoon, further south you go, we're going to see more sunshine. As we go to the further to the north, we're going to increase the cloud cover across Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, into northern and central Illinois as we go into late this afternoon and evening. Reinforcing cold front coming through. Could be bringing us some lighter rain showers and some rumbles of thunder for a brief amount of time this evening. That'll cross through. We'll see some clearer skies as that moves through overnight. And then we'll see the cloud cover work back into those areas with some light drizzle and showers throughout the day on Tuesday. Kind of a raw day up there across the upper Midwest. If you're in Green Bay, La Crosse, Madison, Milwaukee, Chicago, Rockford, all the way back to Waterloo, Iowa. Going to be more of a raw day up there. Further south and west you go from there. So Kansas City, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Little Rock, St. Louis. We're going to see more sunshine as we go through the day on Tuesday. Western U.S., we got plenty of cloud cover across the Pacific Northwest here today. As we go into tonight, we could see a couple of areas of drizzle there into the lower elevations of the Pacific Northwest. Starting off the day on Tuesday, we're going to see a partly cloudy sky across the Pacific Northwest, mostly clear. The further south you go there towards the desert Southwest. And then as we go through the day, again, we're going to see a partly cloudy sky. Increase of high-level clouds across the Four Corners region could lead to maybe some drizzle or sprinkles across southern portions of Arizona, especially south of Phoenix as we go into tomorrow evening. Now let's look here at the week ahead, even beyond tomorrow. So Wednesday, we got that upper level low, pesky drizzle, rain shower activity, kind of a raw couple of days here across the Great Lakes Northeast. High pressure building in behind it, but then watch, we have another storm system coming in across the southern plains, Oklahoma, southern Missouri, including the Ozarks, down here into Arkansas, North Texas, and Louisiana. This could bring us some heavier rainfall activity on Friday and into Saturday to start the weekend, and then a much larger storm system coming in across the Pacific Northwest this weekend. Higher elevation snow could be pretty heavy there in the Rockies and the Cascades. Some of that snow also trailing down into the northern Sierras. Lower elevation rains are possible as well, and we could see that trailing into the northern United States as we go into the following week as well. Now, we have to watch this storm as it crosses here into the central United States early next week. We could have some moisture return from the Gulf. Dew points getting back into the 50s and low 60s. That could yield some weak instability of the Ohio Valley, moderate instability down here toward the Gulf Coast and lower Mississippi River Valley, and with a strong jet streak coming across the bottom of this trough, we're going to definitely start to see an increase in our low pressure system. It's going to start to strengthen as it pushes into the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes region, and this could bring a powerful round of winds and even some thunderstorm activity to the central United States as we get closer to Halloween. We'll be keeping an eye on that. In fact, there is a long range update here on that. If we look as we go into early November, it does look like it's going to start to get more active. Again, more on that here in just a minute. But here in the short term, the winds are going to be very strong over the next several days, going through 7 a.m. next Monday, a week from today on October 27th. Wind gusts here across the north central U.S., across portions of the east are going to be pretty hefty out there. So make sure to hang on to your hats. Could be seeing wind gusts between 40 and 60 miles per hour. And there's a reason why there are wind advisories there in the lighter tan colors. And then here in towards those highlighter tan colors or those lighter browns, we have more of the high wind watches and warnings up there, especially into the western Dakotas, but also into northeastern New Mexico, where those very strong winds could cause some damage out there. That is for sure. Now let's look here now at the precipitation going through the week ahead. Heavier storm system coming across the southern plains into the deep south, mid-south region as we go in towards late this week. This could drop some heavy rain into eastern Oklahoma, southern Missouri, including the Ozarks, into Arkansas, north and northeast Texas, northern Louisiana, and parts of western Tennessee. Could be seeing a widespread range there of around 1 to 4 inches worth of rainfall, beneficial rains. And then a larger storm system coming in across the Pacific Northwest as we go into the weekend ahead. This could not only be producing some very heavy rainfall, but also some heavy snowfall across the Pacific Northwest, the Cascades here in Washington State and Oregon, the Rockies out here, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, even as far south as Utah and western Colorado. Some snow, just a few inches in the northern Sierras there are possible with this system. Now, if we zoom the picture out, it's going to be a very active pattern even further north here toward Alaska, Yukon, the Northwest Territories, and Western Canada there in British Columbia, Canada. The western coastline could get feet and feet of snow. We zoom that in. There could be areas of over 6 to 8 feet of snow here in the western coastline of British Columbia and the very high elevations there. So that just tells you how cold it is and how snowy it is out there. Now, long-range forecast for us as we go into next week. This is Monday, October 27th through Friday, Halloween, October 31st. Trough across the central eastern U.S., a little bit of a weak ridge across the desert southwest, big ridge over the Hudson Bay. What that's going to do is our temperatures will improve. Again, just because you see orange on here does not mean it's going to be hot, right? Our normal high temperatures in late October, closer to Halloween, are lowering. So it won't take a lot of temperatures warming up, say, into the 60s and 70s perhaps, to get us above normal with our temperatures. And then you can see with that trough coming in, we're going to see a lot more cooler air for the Pacific Northwest next week. An active weather pattern is advertised here as we go towards Halloween. So make sure for any trick-or-treaters out there, you're watching the latest forecast here, especially on Halloween night, as we have the potential for another couple of larger storm systems to move into the central and eastern U.S. closer to Halloween. Here's the European deterministic model showing quite a bit of rainfall across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, a little bit drier for the southern plains and the desert Southwest. The GFS is a little bit further west and slower with this system, so it drags the rainfall a little bit further west, a little bit drier in the Northeast, a little bit of uncertainty between the two models as expected, as this is next week. We'll be keeping an eye on that for the trick-or-treaters, that's for sure. Now, going into early November, and we've been talking about this for several videos in a row, a volatile weather pattern is in the offing here as we could have another large-scale storm system move into the central U.S., big trough here and a ridge on either side of it, and that means we're going to have a lot of ups and downs first and foremost with our temperatures, but getting closer to Veterans Day, I think we are really locked in on this pattern where we could have a large cold front coming through the United States and affect mainly everybody in the central and eastern U.S. once we get into that second week of November. That has been a consistent signal amongst the extended ensemble guidance. So that is something we'll be keeping an eye on going into early November. Again, around the Veterans Day time frame and my birthday, which is November 12th, be keeping an eye on that. That could bring another bout of a second large storm system. So not only could we have a large storm system in the Halloween time frame, but also Veterans Day and in towards that second week in November, that could also be a large scale storm system for the central and the eastern U.S., trending a little bit drier then for the Pacific Northwest and especially, but the western U.S. in general into that second week of November. We're no stranger to tornado outbreaks in the fall and definitely kind of keep guard on the second severe weather season for this time of year. Remember back to November 17th, 2013, which is one of our leading analogs for this fall, by the way, and we actually did have a large-scale tornado outbreak with 136 tornadoes on that day and definitely saw an EF4 tornado cross through central Illinois, Washington, Illinois. Saw a lot of damage from that here and unfortunately did result in fatalities. So even so that we're getting into late October, November, tornado outbreaks are common as we get more in towards that second severe weather season. And as we move there in towards November, notice the long-range severe weather guidance from NIU is showing from the Midwest down to the Southern Plains. We have to watch these larger storm systems because they can produce some severe weather. And overall, as we go into the first half of November, a little bit warmer for the Northeast, a little bit warmer for the desert Southwest, and I think areas in between have an equal chance or even a below normal chance of seeing some cooler temperatures. And we look at precipitation. While it does show below normal, that's during that 2-week period. There will be some rain in these brown areas into the middle of the country, in the Midwest Ohio Valley too, but it's going to be more active in the Pacific Northwest, more active in Southern California and Southern Arizona, and then Eastern Maine where you see the green there as we go into early November. Now let's get into the tropics talk here for the Caribbean, right? Warm water temperatures, a pristine environment here in the Caribbean has been all season long as no systems have really been moving through this flow. And you can see these water temperatures are outstanding for the Caribbean, even here into late October. We are seeing water temperatures 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius above where we should see them for this time of year. And we look here at the Atlantic, the National Hurricane Center, Miami, Florida, has a 90% chance of a system developing here, and this system could be a bigger one as we go into the next 5 to 7 days per se. So here's the ensemble guidance. Weaker system moves further west here. A stronger system gains latitude, and that could turn up towards Cuba, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, for example, Haiti, or even the Dominican Republic. We'll be keeping a very close eye on that. That's the European ensemble guidance. The GFS ensemble guidance is much stronger with a lot of its members, which turns this a little bit further north. Now, the caveat here is this could be slowing down as it does so, and that could produce a lot of impacts for a several-day period, whether that's storm surge, flooding, wind damage. We'll keep an eye on this system as we go through the next few days. Now, we look here at the deterministic European model, and notice it has this system already developing a little bit as we go into tomorrow, and on Wednesday to a tropical storm perhaps. And then going Thursday, Friday, still a tropical storm, low-end hurricane. Notice how it just sits here into the warm Caribbean and really just gains strength. 986 here on the Euro model going into Sunday, and then it just sits there before steering over Cuba there, perhaps eastern Cuba and Jamaica. And then this could bottom out to a major hurricane, Cat 3 or 4, once it gets into the southwest Atlantic, and could also impact the Bahamas as well. So keeping an eye on that. GFS model, very similar. It strengthens it very quickly, a little bit further east of a solution, but notice how slow it is, and it also cranks this out to sea as well. But both of these models are very similar, although the GFS is a little bit further east than the Euro is and doesn't affect the Bahamas as much. Looking here at the East Pacific, the warmest of the waters here are near the shelf waters of coastal Mexico or Central America, but we are seeing also a 50-50 shot at a system developing here. The difference is this system is going to be moving further west in the East Pacific, not really affecting any land source as the one in the Caribbean, but we'll be keeping an eye on this one. Again, it looks like a weaker system, so it's going to be drifting further to the west on both the European and the GFS ensemble guidance, although there are some stronger members that gain latitude, but again, it's still over the East Pacific, safely away from land. So thank you all for watching, folks. If you found this video informative, helpful for you in any way, life-saving, or just because I cover Canada, the United States, the tropics, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Almost to 137,000 subscribers, and when you do subscribe, turn the post notification bell to all so you get all my videos, all my live streams when I post them to my YouTube channel. I definitely appreciate that. Like the video, give it a thumbs up. We almost got to 1,000 likes here yesterday and the day before. We'd love to hit that today, so help out with getting the likes on the video and also sharing it with a friend, family member, and on social media. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for the support, everybody, and I hope everyone has a wonderful and safe rest of their Monday out there.